While Washington looks for a way out of the war with Iran, Israel is quietly preparing to keep fighting it alone. According to Israel's Channel 13, the military is actively preparing for the possibility of unilateral strikes on Iran, a plan that stays on the table even if the US steps back from direct combat. That timing matters. The Trump administration appears to be searching for a diplomatic exit, a way to end the war at the negotiating table instead of the battlefield. So, while one government looks for an off-ramp, the other is quietly checking the fuel gauge on its own. Inside the US administration, there's reportedly real tension over how this ends. General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has warned senior officials that continuing military action carries real risk and that airstrikes alone may not deliver what President Trump actually wants in Iran. He's reportedly been hunting for that off-ramp for weeks, discussing options with the CIA director, the Secretary of State, and the Vice President. The White House pushed back hard on any talk of internal division, calling Kane an asset to the national security team. But the mere fact that pushback was needed says something on its own. For Israel, diplomacy in Washington doesn't necessarily mean safety in Tel Aviv. Israeli officials have made their position clear. They won't accept Iran rebuilding its ballistic missile program or its nuclear infrastructure, deal or no deal. Defense Minister Israel Katz has reportedly ordered the military to prepare for what's being called a blue and white operation, shorthand for an independent Israeli campaign, no American support required. Katz has also warned that any Iranian missile attack on Israel would get, in his words, a strong response. Even Prime Minister Netanyahu has floated the idea of confronting Iran without full US backing, while admitting that's not the outcome he'd prefer. And there's a complication neither side controls entirely: America's own weapons stockpiles. Months of intercepting missiles and drones have burned through precision munitions and air defense interceptors at a pace that's now raising real questions in Washington about how much longer a high-intensity campaign is sustainable. That pressure could push the US toward negotiations faster, but it does nothing to change Israel's calculation. Tel Aviv's concerns about Iran don't shrink just because American supply lines do. So here's where this leaves things: Washington negotiating an exit, Israel preparing to stay in the fight regardless. Two allies, technically on the same side, increasingly running two different playbooks. And how those two paths intersect may determine what the next phase of this war actually looks like.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.